And as the Abraham Accords, the peace agreement with the Arab world has been signed, the next great accords to be signed between these nations are the Moses Accords. The ideal for great, inspired social leadership, for the wealth of all the nations to be shared and enjoyed by all peoples, for the families of the earth to flourish and to grow without debt and dependence and fear, for the children, the orphans, the nomads, the people non-associated, those who have no formal identity written or shared, they too can flourish and find partnership. And this is the Accord, a vision for a great future of the Middle East and the world. In the last verses of the book of Deuteronomy, Moses talks great ideas, but then adapts them to the tribes and individualizes to circumstances. And when he goes and summarizes all the tribes of Israel, one understands that these tribes were disparate in nature, in groupings, in demographies, in ethnicities, in trades, in practices. The diversity of pre-Israel or proto-Israel, or included the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Sinites, the sea people, the invaders, the priests, the Levites, elders, Israel, angels. The diversity in the Bible explodes, and it is that which is captured, which, whilst perceived to be dogmatic, actually comes to express a arena active with ingredients ready to bloom. On the reverse side of the biblical story is just on the reverse side of matter, just like antimatter, is the antidote, the solution, which are now available to every great crisis described. To the Pharaoh which dominated, there is an anti-Pharaoh. There is now the freedom where the Pharaoh realized that domination brought destruction and repents. And there is, to the greed, there is the anti-greed of sharing. To the failures described, the tragedies described, the punishments, the stories, there is the there is the lessons drawn. And this is a time not for scaremongering, but this is a time to collect, to gird one's loins and to shape up and to take the lessons and the sentences and the pieces and the constructs and the ideas that we have and towards the great unknown, and to bring about, like the armies of Israel, the disparate armies of Israel throughout the world, to bring about a great civilization. And in Deuteronomy chapter 34, Moses goes up to Mount Navor, which is on the Jordanian side, looking over the Jordan River, over Israel. And he is told that he is not to enter the land of Israel. And here a wonderful clarity occurs that, in fact, the thinking of Moses is truly universal. That whilst he led Israel to their promised land, in fact, the ideas for every nation and nation in the world to their own promised land and to their own great destiny. And indeed, the verse that there is no prophet like Moses to have stood up and to have seen God face to face rings curious in the light of the challenges facing the next century.